Well, we are live and just making sure that everything is working, and we're going to jump in. So if you are joining me, let me know down in the comments where you are tuning in from. And if you weren't with me last week, the link for the workbook, I've popped it in the comments again down underneath the video here. So if you are watching this in the replay, welcome. And I look forward to having some time with you. Just going to hit a topic really quick, give you something practical that you can do, and allow you then to move on empowered for the rest of your day. All right, for those of you who haven't met me before, I'm Grant Herbert. I'm the founder and CEO of the Professional Services Leadership Academy. I've been working now after coming out of a military and a corporate career for 15 years in my own practice, working in professional services firms, developing leaders. And last week, we started off this series by talking about your identity. We talked about that first shift in the 9 crucial shifts, which is to build up your identity and go from being conflicted about who you are to being congruent and authentic and, feeling like you are okay. And we talked about a number of things. So if you missed that, you can go back and watch the video here on the page. And if you have questions, you can pop them in there as well, and I will continue to go back. So hopefully, because it's not seeming to show me here, but hopefully this is going out live. But I'm going to keep going anyway, and just assume that the technology is working, which is what we sometimes need to do. All right, so when we talked about identity last week, we talked about the fact that we operate out of the performance trap, where we perform to get approval from others all the time, and it erodes away a true sense of who we are. We talked about the 3 universal fears of not being enough, of not belonging, and of not being loved or liked, depending on how you want to language that. We talked about the fact that we have been conditioned over many years because of the things that we've believed. And in particular, I talked about the fact that we have limiting beliefs. And these limiting, or I like to call them false beliefs, are what you've believed over the years about yourself, and through the experiences, what you make those mean, you've formed an internal dialogue that you repeat to yourself all the time. And these limiting beliefs are holding you back from being who you need to be to get where it is that you're wanting to go. And my experience is that these limiting beliefs that I have or had about myself were definitely the root cause of all the challenges I had in my military career, my corporate career, my relationships, and everything that I've done, prior to the work that I've done around this and helping myself to break free of it. So what we're going to now do today is we're going to go a little bit further with this. So if you haven't got the workbook, as I said, you can grab the link in the comment, and you can go, and I'm going to give you some practical things to do at the end of this training so that you can, rather than just learn something new, you can benefit from it. All right, so let's jump into talking about limiting beliefs. As I said, limiting beliefs, I like to call them false beliefs, because they're what we tell ourselves based on what has happened, what we made that mean, what other people have said to us and about us that we've taken on as being true. We've formed these limiting beliefs. And these beliefs that we've formed are around yourself, your own abilities, who you are, what you're capable of. Remember, I said your identity last week. I said your identity is not just who you believe you are, but it's also who you believe you're not. And those beliefs that you have about yourself definitely hold you back, keep you in a comfort zone, and stop you from doing things that will take you beyond that level of belief. There's also limiting beliefs that you have about others, others in general, and then individual others that you know, and it's through the experiences that you've had with them. And once again, because everything that we do is based around relationships, that can create some issues. So if you think that everyone's out to get you, then you will approach people differently if that's your belief. So belief around others is very limiting as well when they're not healthy. And then beliefs around the world. Right here as I'm doing this now, this is one that I've had to do some work on just in the last couple of days. Here in Australia, over the last few days, we've had, multiple stabbings and unrest and, things going on that have just make you wonder, what's going on in the world. And then you've got the other conflicts that are happening over in the Middle East and, over in Russia and Ukraine and everything going on. So you form beliefs around the world, and then that limits your thinking on what you're able to achieve in a world like this. So these generalized beliefs and these more specific beliefs about others, and most importantly about yourself, can create a lot of resistance. And what we do is we carry these beliefs around with us. It's like a ball and chain on your leg. It's extra weight that you're carrying. And when we talked about the identity last week, I introduced you to your mini-me, that internal dialogue, that inner critic, that voice that keeps you from doing things that are outside your comfort zone. And when you decide to do things differently, that voice reminds you of those limiting beliefs that you have. But here's the good news. You, yes, you, every one of you that are watching this, whether you're live with me now or whether you're watching this in the replay, you can remove your roadblocks and change your results when you rewrite your belief system. This is where you want to go, right? This is where you are right now. And the roadblocks are the things that have been stopping you and will stop you from going from where you are now to where you want to go. And limiting beliefs are one of the key roadblocks that we have. And that creates things like self-sabotage, where even as we are developing and getting close to those things that we want, and I know this was personally true for me in my corporate career, I made sure I did things, subconsciously did things to sabotage me getting to where I didn't believe I was worthy of getting, if that makes sense. But you can rewrite your belief system. So just because you've had, beliefs that you formed years ago based on things that happened. I formed a belief when my mum put me on a doorstep. When I found out about that when I was 15, I formed a belief that I was not lovable. Surely a mum who puts a child on a doorstep didn't love them, so therefore I'm not lovable. And that became a belief about me that I carried on as I had a pity party for the next 25 years. And everything that I did, or the opportunities I had, were filtered through that. I'm not lovable, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. So we need to, and I'm going to help you with yours, we need to rewrite that belief system. And I'm going to show you how to actually do that. All right, so rewriting your beliefs is a process. And I love process because it says do this, then do this, and do this. And it's a process that you need to do with your big voice. So that mini-me will be there when you're going through this process as well. But you've got to be able to keep that in check. Remember, I talked about how you need to do that. Acknowledge what mini-me is telling you, all right? And then explain what you're going to do differently and then do it. So rewriting your beliefs, you're going to need to make sure that you keep that mini-me in check. All right, so let's have a look at this 5-step process. And in your workbook, you have a place where there's an exercise that you're going to do. Just stick with me now. I'm going to run you through these 5 steps and then we'll have a look at the worksheets and you can go from there. All right, so The first part of the process is to identify these limiting beliefs, to put them under the microscope and have a look at the beliefs that you have about yourself. So the first step is to sit down, write down all the beliefs that you have about yourself. And you can do the same with others, and you can do the same with the world. However, what I want you to start focusing on is just the beliefs you have about yourself, because they're the most powerful, and they're certainly ones that create the biggest problem for you. So writing out a list of beliefs is the first thing, identifying them. Call them out as they are. And to do that, I want you to use the term or the words I am. So whenever you're talking about your identity, which is who you believe you are, you're using I am, rather than the performance, which is I do. And we talked about that last week. All right, so that's step one. Step two is to acknowledge them. To acknowledge the beliefs that you have, even though they might be negative, because you formed those beliefs to keep you safe from those three universal fears. So thank them, acknowledge them. Yes, I know why I had that belief, and that's okay, right? However, what we're going to do is we're going to keep moving forward. We're going to shift that. So the third thing to do is to then reframe them. So just like the one on the screen, if it says, I can't do it, we're shifting that to I can. If I am unlovable, I'm shifting that to I am lovable. All right? So that's what we're going to do. That's the third step. As I said, we're going to go through this in a moment. Now we've got that generalized reframe. We've flipped it to the opposite. Now it's a matter of creating a new list of beliefs. However, the difference with these beliefs is that they are empowering. So instead of them being an anchor, they're an engine. They're going to propel you forward from where you are now to where you want to go. So create the list, remembering that the list needs to start with I am, because they're beliefs about you. Now that you've got this new list, the fifth step is to practice these new beliefs, just like you've been doing with the old beliefs. The reasons why those beliefs can come up so quickly and so easily and effortlessly is you've been ruminating on them and you've been practicing them, and subconsciously over and over in your mind, and that mini-me and that internal dialogue has constantly spoken out these beliefs. You're about to cast yourself in a new role of who you're going to become for the next part of your journey. So you've got to read the new lines, you've got to step into those. And let me tell you, when you're doing that initially, your mini-me is going to fight back, all right? So if I look at my situation, I go, I am lovable, I am lovable. Back when I didn't believe that to the core of my being, I believed the exact opposite. That inner voice would go, no, you're not. Remember, your mum put you on a doorstep. How could you say you're lovable? And that's where you've got to go. Objection. Facts not in evidence. You've got to let the mini-me know, right? Yeah, I know we thought that before, but here's what I've found. I've found that there's lots of people that love me. I found that I get people that compliment me all the time about the way I am with them, etc. So those facts aren't in evidence. In fact, my mum actually did love me that much. She gave me up because she was sick so that I could have a great life. So it's about being able to control that dialogue and take yourself from those old beliefs to the new ones. And the great thing about our brain is a thing called neuroplasticity, which says we can take old neural pathways and we can build new ones that are stronger. So instead of when this happens, we would normally go to this thought. Now we're going to go to the new one, the empowering one. All right, so what I have given you in your workbook are some worksheets. All right, so the first sheet there on the left-hand side, you've got the limiting belief. So you write down, I am, whatever they are. So look, let's go with your top 10. Top 5 if that's all you can think of. But just write them down. Then the second part is to, as I said, flip them. So if you've got I am, whatever it is there, on the other side, I am, just flip it to the reverse of that. And then you've got the raw material to go forward and create your new beliefs, empowering beliefs. And what I really love to do with these is to do them in the narrative. So instead of just writing out, I am a great father, right? I am a great father who loves his kids, who cares for them, who loves them unconditionally, who protects them, who provides for them, whatever it is. So give yourself some dialogue, some evidence in the narrative so that you can, as you are practicing those beliefs, you can shift to these new, empowering beliefs about yourself. That when you then feel less than, your dialogue, that inner voice, will remind you of the new beliefs. Your identity is who you are and who you think you're not. It's the foundation of everything else you do. And that's why in all the work that I do in leadership development, I start at this foundation. And as we go through, the other 8 shifts, I make sure that there's an element of understanding where the identity comes in those as well. And that allows you to go beyond knowledge. You can then implement and get the results. So that's what I wanted to cover with you today. I'd love to see some comments down below. If you, have some questions that you don't feel comfortable asking in the public forum, I totally understand that because this is talking about you. So reach out on LinkedIn, ask me questions. That's totally okay. I'll come back to you individually. And exciting news, if you haven't heard yet, I've had a lot of people ask me about putting together something that allows you to go through these 9 shifts self-paced and with a little bit of support as well. And I find that challenging to run programs when I'm traveling around the world all the time and I'm working in firms and things like that. So I've got some exciting news coming up about a more accessible program for anyone within professional services. So have an amazing rest of your day. I am going to pack. I'm off to Singapore in the morning, working a couple of days in Singapore, and then to Phuket in Thailand, where I'm speaking and doing a keynote, Burnout to Breakthrough, for CPD by the Sea, a conference for lawyers from all over the world coming together in Thailand, then off to Bangkok, a couple of law firms there, and then coming back in a week or so from now, about 9 or 10 days from now. So the next time we're together will be on the 2nd of May. I'll be back then, and we're going to get into an area which is really, really important, and that is being able to navigate your emotions in a healthy way. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it's helped. Make sure you do the exercises, and I look forward to continuing a conversation with you and helping you to become who it is that you need to become to get the results that you want this year and beyond. Okay, talk to you soon.